1986 has a nice little library of films that came out within that year, and I'm taking you all back to that year. Now, there's a lot of movies that came out that I can talk about, but I wanted to try and pick out a little gem that isn't necessarily talked about as much. And if there's anything that I have to go through within the entire library of movies, I had to pick one that was named after a song. And sure enough, that is a typical thing that goes on in the world of movies, where there's going to be a film that's going to be named after a well-known, beloved song that was a big hit. And that is a common tale in cinema. This little film is one of them, where it's called Peggy Sue Got Married. That was a track written by Buddy Holly all those years ago. Really, really great song, which is a sequel to the hit Peggy Sue. Anyways, this movie itself, I'd never seen it before. I've heard of it, but I never watched it until recent. I saw a particular scene that caught my eye that was surrounding this film. It was Nicolas Cage, Jim Carrey, and two other guys that were a doo-wop group, and they were doing their own cover of I Wonder Why by Dion and the Belmonts in a nice little club of some sorts. And I figured, you know what? I'm going to check this movie out, because I thought Nicolas Cage looked good. Jim Carrey, obviously, being who he is, showing the mannerisms. And this would be the only time that you would see Nicolas Cage and Jim Carrey singing in a film together, let alone in general. So I ended up watching the movie, and sure enough, it's a cute little romance film. Now, I've always enjoyed coming-of-age romance films of the 1980s, because to me, coming-of-age within the decade of 1980s was done right. I'll even say the 90s too, but specifically, I think the 1980s did an exceptional job covering over the coming-of-age particular topic and genre of films that I've grown to really admire and adore. This one, I guess you could say it's a coming of age, but it's more along the lines of a Back to the Future type premise to a minor extent, but not really, where one person is going back in time, not by a DeLorean, by just fainting, and you find yourself in the year 1960 in senior year all over again. But Peggy, she was at her 25th anniversary high school reunion, meeting up with some of her friends, reconnecting with some old colleagues. I really liked how Marshall Crenshaw was the opening band at this particular event, playing a whole entire compilation of songs, and I sure as hell hope some of his tracks as well that he has written. And I like Marshall Crenshaw, great performer, great musician, hell of a songwriter, but I digress. So this movie surrounds that she is at her 25th anniversary high school reunion, where she meets up with a lot of colleagues that she known very well from. But unfortunately, once she took the stage, having the crown on her head, where she ends up fainting and finds herself again waking up in the 1960s once again with Charlie, who was played by Nicolas Cage, a very good-looking guy with a nice poofy head of blonde hair. She must now relive the entire moments and fix the mistakes she had with Charlie, because in the present time she had a lot of regrets, contemplating about marrying him and whatnot. But the thing is, the fact that she had to relive her entire memories all over again, just so she can fix her past. It's a nice little premise right there. Now, Kathleen Turner, even though she was, I'm assuming, in her early 30s, but anyways, she did a really good job playing as a young teenager from that particular decade, where she's out free, having fun with friends or with her lover, having the whole entire mannerisms of being free-spirited and whatnot. But also, she had the attitude of what she accumulated in the 1980s after 25 years in high school, having a new attitude and whatnot. And the fact that she had a lot of self-awareness within her surroundings, while the other characters don't necessarily know what was going on with Peggy Sue throughout the entire, with all these scenarios that was going on. But the fact that Peggy alone was very self-aware with everything. And the thing is, throughout the movie, it had to take a lot of convincing with regrowing her relationship with Charlie once again, because she didn't want the mistakes to happen again. She was afraid about getting remarried. She was afraid about how the kids would be later on, how they would act growing up, etc. But also leading into how the relationship would be, especially she had a friendship, her high school crush, with a guy named Michael, who was I guess you can say a rebel. He was also a track star. And I think that, and there was another guy that she was friends with who became an author that dedicated a book in the name of Peggy Sue that was kind of written about not only the past but also somewhat similar to the events of what Peggy Sue was going through. So I really admire this story itself. It is a nice little tale where she's gone back, fixing her past mistakes, fixing the memories on how it would give her a brighter future within the same guy that's been head over heels for her all this time throughout senior year. Now, Nicolas Cage playing as Charlie, I thought the voice was a little goofy that he had, but then again, I think it was kind of portrayal as a handsome nerd that everyone picked on, but not really. Then he had his goofy friends, Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey, wasn't much of a major role, but just more of a minor portrayal. So, Peggy Sue Got Married. It's a cute little movie. It's a nice little romance film. It's nothing major to really say that's to go out of the way, that's phenomenal, but it is a nice little romance film. I had a nice little time watching this movie. I really liked the story. The chemistry between the characters, the dialogue was nice and everything. The time setting within 1960s, still having that late 1950s feel to it. I really like that. Again, the entire cover of seeing Nicolas Cage sing showed me that I didn't even realize he had musical talent at all until I saw this movie. Then I went on YouTube and I typed in anything that involved Nicolas Cage singing, and sure enough, the guy can sing. So, Peggy Sue Got Married is a movie that I gave a 3.5 out of 5 to. It's a nice little tale. I really liked it a lot, and it's one of those films that I would pull off my shelf, put it on the Blu-ray, and just watch for my own enjoyment. So, with that being said, folks, that's going to do it for my little talk on this movie. Let me know down below your thoughts about it if you have seen or heard of it. And with that being said, folks, ciao for now.